This little detail makes Ferrari faster than Red Bull. The Austrian GP provided us with a proper battle between Ferrari and Red Bull, and one that went unexpectedly in favor of Ferrari as well. Red Bull Ring was a track that was predominantly won by Red Bull, as Verstappen managed to secure his first Grand Slam here last year. However, he wasn't able to climb to the highest podium place and was lucky to escape with P2 due to Sainz's engine failure. Also, it's the first race where Ferrari was able to beat Red Bull in a fair and square battle where nothing horrible happened to Verstappen, he just got outpaced. However, can Ferrari take the momentum on their side, or was this just a one-off win? Stick with us until the end to find out more. Although Verstappen was the favourite to win this year, having won 4 out of the last 6 contests in Austria, Ferrari's aerodynamical changes have helped them to gain leverage over Red Bull and beat them on their home track. One major factor that Ferrari could have relied on was the tyre degradation, a problem that didn't seem as major for Red Bull in qualifying and sprint sessions as it appeared on Sunday. Unlike them, both of the Ferrari drivers somehow managed to preserve the tyres long enough so that Leclerc completed his passing on Verstappen in lap 12, and Sainz was gaining a lot on the Dutchman. It was a guaranteed 1-2 win for Ferrari, as Sainz wasn't able to complete the passing in the first DRS zone due to an engine failure. Why was Ferrari better in tyre preservation? Well, a huge factor is the traction of the F175. The longitudinal energy created by the F175 is distributed to all the structures of the tyre, thanks to how the team managed to make the tyre stay parallel to the track. Also, it's very important to know the structure of the new Pirelli tyres, as they are made out of carcass, belt and cap plies. Why are these parts important? Well, they create a stiff system which widens the contact surface of the thread and prevents the process of tyre deformation. The 2022 season saw huge changes in the technical direction, and with the new ground floor effects, a huge toll is taken on the tyres. More specifically, a lot of vertical thrusts are applied to them, but Ferrari has one ace in the sleeve that other teams probably don't, which is the geometry of their suspension. Thanks to this factor, the tyres can preserve some camber and keep the tyres parallel to the track. Where is this seen the most? Quite logically, in turning over the corners. When F1 drivers turn into corners, sliding and oversteering usually happen due to the lateral acceleration. Both of these increase the rate of tyre degradation, and thanks to the suspension of Ferrari, these factors are minimized as much as possible. Mechanical stresses release energy into the lateral sections of the carbon and composite-made shoulder of the tyre. The suspension of the Ferrari car helps to reduce the damage that tyres undergo here too. Converted on the track, Ferrari managed to run double the amount of Verstappen's medium compound tyres, as the Dutchman had to change them at lap 12, while Leclerc and Sainz did around lap 24. What's even more worrying is the fact that Verstappen managed to cut just 0.6 seconds per lap in the 12 laps that he went on his new hard compound tyres prior to Leclerc pitting. True, the hard tyres are a bit slower when it comes to heating up and optimizing performance, but 0.6 seconds is just too little to cut down on a fresh set of tyres. On the other hand, when you compare the laps between Leclerc's first and Verstappen's second pit stop, Leclerc managed to be 1.3 seconds faster than Max. Since it was the same distance as their first pit stops, 12 laps, Max managed to gain only 7.8 seconds while chasing Leclerc on new tyres, and Leclerc managed to gain 16.08 seconds to Max, while chasing him from lap 24 to lap 36. At the end of the day, Leclerc was able to win the race because he managed to stay on the track for 24 laps on the medium compound tyres, twice as long as Verstappen in their first stints. From there on, it was a breeze to keep the tactic under control and just cruise until the end of the race. Thanks to the tyre degradation, Sainz was also able to pick up the tempo and was in a position to pass Max without any difficulties. However, his engine had other plans, and it exposed yet another flaw for Ferrari. To explain why Max wasn't struggling a lot on Saturday, but was on Sunday, we need to explain the 2 different mechanisms a tyre can degrade. The first one is thermal, while the other one is wear. The first one happens when a tyre simply becomes too hot, and due to the thermal effect on the tyre, it starts to shed and degrade. It usually happens when the track is too hot, as was the case on Saturday. With the rains on Sunday and the track cooling off, the wear became the dominant mechanism that the tyres started to degrade. This is why Verstappen wasn't able to compete with both of the Ferrari on Sunday, but was able to keep them behind for 24 laps on Saturday at the sprint race. However, we should give more credit to Ferrari and say that they've done their homework in the wind tunnels prior to going to Red Bull Ring. The team put load maps on the front and rear wing to maximize the driving precision defined by the front end and to ensure the rear end had a balanced load to improve their tyre degradation even further. How was this translated on the map? Well, the corner entries of both Ferrari drivers were extremely good and sharp, and the traction displayed at the exits was phenomenal, and not a single F1 fan regretted the result in Austria. Leclerc was able to secure a win after a 7-race drought, with his last win coming in Australia. He was failed multiple times by his team and his car reliability, as he lost on wins in Silverstone and Monaco due to failed strategy in the pit stop. For things to be more painful for him, he lost first place all the way to P4 in both manners, losing out on 13 points respectively in each of those 2 races. Before Austria, Ferrari didn't have many chances to compete fair and square with Red Bull, and it's highly unlikely that Red Bull won't answer to the bad performance in Austria with another upgrade to their car for future races. But this wasn't the case in Austria, and even the 2-time world champion Mika Häkkinen said some positive stuff about Ferrari staff and how they managed to deliver a top-notch strategy that almost secured them the 1-2 win for the first time after Bahrain this year. Ferrari's race strategies have caused some problems this year, but not on Sunday. When they saw Max switch to a 2-stop strategy, they followed. But by making their pit stops significantly later, they always retained a strong tyre advantage. This is the kind of confident strategy Ferrari will need to maintain if they are to consistently challenge Red Bull, finished Häkkinen, who also spoke about the reliability of the F175 and how it is already a huge factor in the championship battle. Carlos's engine failure shows that Ferrari still has work to do on reliability, and I am sure they must know where the problems lie. Charles cannot afford to have those kinds of failures if he is to close the gap with Max. In fact, he needs Max to have a non-finish if the points gap in the World Championship is to really close down, added Häkkinen. And quite indeed, this is a huge problem for Ferrari. Charles Leclerc used a 4th engine in Montreal, which gave him the penalty to start from the back of the grid. True, he managed to climb the field and finish P5, but Verstappen won the race, so he ran away with an additional 15 points in the championship. Reportedly, Sainz used his 3rd engine in Austria, and after it caught fire, he'll likely start on the back of the grid in France, as he will be forced to take the 4th penalty-applying engine to his car. This is a massive blow for Ferrari in the championship battle, especially to the constructors. If they were to fight both Red Bulls fair and square, they need both of their cars up there at the front. But with reliability issues being more present to their team than Red Bull, there simply isn't anything that the team can do rather than fix it and not pray for the Red Bull DNF situation. The next GP is from 22nd to 24th of July at the Paul Ricard circuit in France, a track that could allow Ferrari to optimize their rear wing due to the low downforce circumstances of the track. The smooth surface and the medium and high-speed corners used to favor Red Bull in the past, but now that Ferrari was able to delete the straight-line speed thanks to their rear wing, it's all to play for in France. Plus, we may see a more competent Mercedes too, which is yet to unlock more potential from its troublesome W13. What do you think will happen at the French GP? Let us know in the comments below.